Hey, gather round. It's time. This is Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 119. We welcome you in live with the Senator Brad Howe. It is the Alek Manoah edition of Three Guys Before the Game. Historic show. Historic first time that we've ever had a professional baseball player on the show.
That's true.
It took us 119 episodes.
Well, I also knew it was a big episode even before because of the way you introed there. You almost went Brent Musburger. You were full Brent Musburger, Alek, which means it's a very big episode when he goes into Brent Musburger.
You are looking live at the right-hander on his way to the Toronto Blue Jays. Man, it's great to have you, man. I mean, you look like a pro. Got a gold watch on. Got a gold watch.
Nice shirt, Gene. Looks good.
Sure. Okay, the watch cost how much?
TJ Maxx, man.
See, I knew it. I knew it because I read a story that your mom said you're not money crazy.
No.
That's what she said.
TJ Maxx, Michael Kors.
Hey, imitation's good. It's good. So, man, what a. Can you even? Have you stopped? Have you woken up at any time and said to yourself in the last month or so, what is going on in my life?
No, I don't think I've had the time to do that. I don't know. I know probably it'll hit me here at some point, but just being with my whole family and still being in Morgantown, I still just feel like I'm, in school, So I think once I get down there and put on my first Blue Jay T-shirt, sign that contract, I think that's when it'll start to hit me a little bit.
I absolutely love your story for about 100 different reasons, because I love stories about guys that make decisions that look like they're going one way, and then they make a decision that takes them down another path, and then that path brings them something that maybe they dreamt about but didn't really think it could potentially happen. And then, obviously, with what we had recently with the NCAA regional and then the draft. And then besides all that, forget about the fact that you are among the best players in the college game. Just forget about the whole baseball thing. I love guys that got personality. I love guys that can fill a room. I love guys that are emotional. So, you got the whole package here, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of easy for me to fill a room. I'm pretty big.
Well, I mean, but I guess that's true. Physically and figuratively and literally. Were you, two-part question, were you always physically big? I think the answer is probably yes, but go ahead. Were you always physically big, and did you always have a big personality? In other words, when you were in kindergarten, were you pulling the chair away from the kid? Were you tweaking somebody's nose? Were you making fart sounds?
Yeah, fart sounds. No,
you never did fart sounds.
Probably did a bunch of those. Yeah, I was the kid during nap time that just couldn't go to bed. I was the one who was probably waking people up or drawing on other people's paper during kindergarten and stuff like that. Yeah, I was always been just a fun guy, man. Always messing around, and that's just always been who I am.
If we took a look at your kindergarten picture, if they put everyone together, you're the tallest head? Were you always bigger?
I think I was always bigger. Probably was missing more teeth than anybody else also.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Late teeth guy?
Brother probably punched a few out. He actually cracked my head when I was 3, so yeah, I think I was always bigger, but not extremely big. And then throughout middle school, I think I was 5'10".
Really? Okay.
Yeah, my 8th grade year, which isn't freakishly big.
No.
Yeah, and then going into high school, I went from 5'10" to 6'3" in one summer.
Okay, wait a second.
Ooh, there you go. Bingo.
Time
Stop.
out. So 5'10" to 6'3".
Yeah, just 4 or 5 inches, just like that.
Bingo. All of a sudden, there's a whole new Alek Manoah. So you walk back into school when school starts again, and people go wait.
Well, I got into high school, and everybody was like, "All right, this is a big freshman,"
Yeah.
And I was a position player. I was a catcher. So, I kind of got big, and there's not many, and then my sophomore year, I ended up being 6'5", and by my junior year, I was like 6'6", 6'7", you know. So there's no catchers that big.
No, that's hard to get down.
It's hard to get down all the time.
It's hard to get down and up, and you know, I've always been physically big as well, so not just size. So yeah, I had to move to first base, and then you know, made the transition to pitching going into my senior year.
Now, even before that, when you played, I don't know what they call it down home back in Florida, or Little League or whatever, you smacked the heck out of the ball, right?
Oh yeah.
Like you go to Cooperstown to do something?
I went to I was 10 years old. We went to Cooperstown and broke the home run record there, and still hold that record because.
So how many home runs you hit?
Well, it was the home run derby. So the record was 4 out of 10, and I hit 6, and the record for the 12-year-olds was 7. So I would almost beat both records in one.
Who's throwing that pitch to you? Was it your coach?
It was like a machine.
Oh, okay.
It was something I was never used to. We never used it. We always had like coach pitch, or, you know, at that time we were playing, you know, regular, you know, kid pitch. And they throw this machine out here, and it's kind of just like floating balls, and like the timing's a little off. And I was just like, all right, I guess I got to hit this thing. And yeah, it was hitting balls everywhere. And I actually got pretty lucky, man, because so the way Cooperstown, I'm not sure if you know how it works. There's 12 weeks. And then they bring in 100 teams every week.
Yeah.
And then there's 1 week where it's 10-year-olds, and then the other, you know, 11 weeks it's all 12 and under. You know, it's all 12-year-olds. So I guess the 10-year-old weeks stopped getting as much attention as they wanted. So now they just do 12 and under weeks. So there will never be another 10.
Yeah, I like that.
So literally nobody has a chance of breaking my record.
See, because that was pretty good how you like, and that record still stands because they don't have it anymore. It's like dinosaurs. They're not around anymore.
Yeah, so I probably shouldn't have said that, you know, just like, yeah, nobody's broken my record. Nobody can break my record.
It's the unbreakable record.
It's the unbreakable record.
Do you miss hitting?
If I was as good in college as I was in high school, I would probably say yes, but I was terrible college hitter. Yeah, I couldn't hit much.
What changed? Speed?
No, I mean, the speed in Miami was the same. You know, that baseball down there was good. I think it was just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. My swing got bigger. I kind of had in the back of my mind I was always going to be a pitcher, so the interest wasn't completely there as well, you know, and yeah, you know, the game sped up on me a little bit, and kind of glad it did, you know.
Yeah. Well, when did you think that? When did you transition from, hey, I can really hit it, to my path may be pitching?
It was my senior year in high school. That's when this whole mic thing is.
Oh no, you're doing well on the mic,
okay,
dude.
You're good.
No, you're really good. You're
Yeah,
good.
So that's how you do it. Yeah,
so
you got
my senior year in high school, I turned into a pitcher, and that's when I started getting draft attention. You know, like I really started getting recruited as a pitcher. You know, Maisie liked me as a hitter and things like that too, but it was mostly as a pitcher. And yeah, so all the attention and stuff from the draft and stuff in high school, I was like, you know, my big kid throwing really hard.
You were throwing 90 plus, I assume?
Yeah, I was up to 96 in high school.
Oh, even then.
95, yeah. It wasn't as consistent. It was more like 91, 93, you know, and then up to, you know, that velocity. But yeah, once I started getting that attention, I was like, all right, you know, my future's probably going to be on the mound.
Alek, had you thrown, you said that was your senior year. When was the first time in developmental ball that you did step onto the mound? When did that become? Had you toyed with it in the past? Were you throwing it at all? 7th grade, 8th grade, 6th grade?
Yeah, I mean, I played travel baseball since I was 8 years old. So I mean, we were constantly traveling to, you know, Orlando for the Wide World of Sports tournaments, and St. Augustine. At 9 years old, we went to Steamboat Springs in Colorado for the USSSA World Series. We just Texas for the Pony World Series. We went everywhere. So you literally had 12 guys on a team, and one caught, one played shortstop. When the other one played shortstop, the other one caught, the other one pitched.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing at Cooperstown. We made it all the way to the championship game. We had to play 5 games in one day.
Wow. Yeah.
You go tell me right now to go play 5 games in one day. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
You go tell Pudge to catch 3 games in one day. He'll be like.
But when you're young, you don't know any different, so you just go play.
You're just playing. I caught 3 games in Cooperstown and pitched in 3 games. That one day. You know, it went from catching to pitching, and then the pitcher went to catching, and you know, it was just everybody everywhere. And that's, I mean, yeah, we all toyed around with, you know, pitching, and pitching back then was, you know, just throwing the baseball.
Where did this baseball seed begin in your family? Because your brother's a professional player.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the California League. You said you were really young when you started playing, and you started, doing it at a high level as far as the travel goes. What in your family made you a baseball family? Where did that start?
I think it started with, my dad played, high school and independently and stuff like that. And my mom was a softball player in high school. And we've just always been a baseball family. I think my mom said when she was pregnant with me 7 months during the 97 World Series when the Marlins won the World Series, and she went to the parade with me in her belly. So I guess she tells me all the time that, that atmosphere, I heard it when I was a baby in her stomach. So it kind of just stuck with me there. And I would say that's where I was literally a seed. And that's where my mind knew, go win a World Series.
Geographically, that has to help as well.
Oh,
So, I mean, how many were you year round? Was there football or basketball, or was it just baseball year round?
It was baseball year round. I mean, in middle school, I toyed around with basketball. I loved basketball. I was pretty good at it. I think I played middle school soccer 1 year. Me and my buddies, we were just like, hey, man, let's try and play as many sports as we can before we get out of here. So I was actually really excited because soccer season went into cross country, so I didn't have to do cross country. Yeah. They were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do everything soccer, cross country." Like, hey man, soccer season, we can't do cross country. I was extremely excited. I didn't have to go run a bunch. I was actually disappointed because the soccer coach was the softball coach, like the middle school softball coach. So we didn't have baseball in middle school. Like we played, outside and travel and stuff. So I would play softball, and he was the soccer coach, and he was like, yeah, man, you got great hands. Come be the goalie, this and that. And I was like, yeah, all right. So we show up first practice, and he has everyone running. I just go and sit on the bench. And he's like, hey, what are you doing, man? You're running. And I was like, dude, I'm the goalie. I'm just here to catch the ball. What do you mean I got to run? And he was like, yeah, you got to run with the team. And I was just like, man, I didn't sign up for this, man.
Yeah. Never. Yeah, I like that. I get it. Yeah. So did you play
soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did it?
I was a good goalie,
Were
man.
you pretty good? Yeah, I would think so.
I didn't know many of the rules or anything. Kids would come running, and I was just like, I'm not
them.
I'm not gonna let this guy kick the ball. I would just take him out. like a one-on-one, I would just sprint right at him. He was like, who's this big guy coming at me? He would kind of freeze up, and I just jump on the ball and take him out a little bit. But
that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
I've seen
it worked, man.
Yeah. The way to West Virginia was really interesting. Alan Taylor recently had a story at WVMetroNews.com that detailed piece by piece how the West Virginia thing came about. Had you, 2 parts, when did you first realize that you could be a Power 5 level athlete? And the second part is, what did you know, if anything, prior to Coach Matlock visiting with you, anything about the state of West Virginia?
I'm glad you said the state of West Virginia because I thought it was the state of Virginia, the west part.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I still have a bunch of people from back home who they're like, hey, how's the Virginia? And I'm like, West Virginia? They're like, yeah, the western part, right? I'm like, man, us Miami people, we're not that bright, I guess.
No, believe me, it's not a Miami thing. It's a around the world thing. But anyway.
Yeah. So I've always had this dream to be where I'm at right now, and I've always had the utmost confidence in myself, my size, my ability, my mindset. I've always had that confidence in me. So up to my junior year of high school, I had nothing. No offers.
Zero.
Zero.
No D2s. No nothing.
Nothing. Not even a JUCO. Wanted nothing. And I was a 6'6", 260-pound. In high school. I'm bigger now, but just physical first baseman. I was an All-American as a hitter. My junior season, I hit 500. With 5 home runs and won a state championship my sophomore year, and just nothing. Literally had nothing, and I never got down. I was just like, all right, man. I know I'm gonna play. Like, I never even thought about. I'm a junior, and I have everybody on my team is committed, and I have nothing. So that summer, I got blessed to play with the Atlanta Blue Jays in Atlanta. So I spent the entire summer in Atlanta training, practicing games.
Now, what is that? What level? What is that?
It's like a travel team.
Okay.
So they travel from tournament to tournament, like perfect game and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went up there that summer, and I had Cincinnati at the end of my junior year. Cincinnati was in the talks, the University of Cincinnati. They had saw me at an IMG Academy tournament, like a spring break tournament with my high school team, and I came in the last inning, and I wasn't even really a pitcher, I was a hitter, but I would just grab the ball and close the game out, here and there. So I came in and we were, I think, winning like 13-1 or something like that, and I just throw the last inning, strike out 3 guys, throwing 93 miles an hour, just no mechanics, no nothing, just throwing all fastballs, just using my arm, And Cincinnati kind of was like, all right, this is a big guy, just blew the doors off these guys with, just a fastball at 93. So they started talking to my coach a little bit. But in my head, I was like, man, I'm a Power 5 guy. Like, I'm excited. It's my first offer, but I know I'm not going to the University of Cincinnati. So that summer, I go to the Atlanta Blue Jays, and he's like, listen, man, do you want to be a first-round pick? And I'm thinking, I don't have a scholarship offer. It's like, we're talking about first-round pick. I was like, yeah, I want to be a first-round pick. I think I could be a first-round pick. And he was like, all right, we're going to change everything. And I was like, well, you can do whatever you want because I don't have anything.
Yeah, what's his coach's name?
His name's Steve, I think Lorero.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve Lorero. I still talk to him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's been amazing. And he goes, listen, we're going to change everything. I was like, well, there's nothing to change. I don't have anything. I don't know how to pitch.
I'm just chucking it.
I'm just throwing it. He's like, yeah, well, you're throwing 93 with no legs. Your arm's late. He was like, let's start. We started doing drills. I lived with him that whole summer, in his basement, me and 6 other guys, and just that summer we would wake up on the tennis courts in his community, and we would just start doing towel drills and drills and drills and drills. Then go to the gym, then go to practice. After practice, come back, do more drills. On game days, we'd wake up, do drills, go to the gym, go to the game, come back, do more drills, do drills at the field, just constantly drills. And I was supposed to pitch down in the Prospect Wire tournament, and it's crazy because I was like, man, I'm throwing in the bullpen. I'm like, man, I'm throwing hard. I'm in my legs. Everything feels good. My arm feels good. I'm just like, wow, like I feel like I'm throwing really hard. And I go and I'm supposed to go out to pitch, and boom, run rule. We had just run ruled them. I'm like,
game over.
I don't get game over right there. I didn't get the pitch. So the next day, some of these tournaments there's like time limit as well. It's like 2 hours or whatever. 2 hours or 7 innings. So the next day, literally I'm supposed to pitch 2 hours. I'm like, no pitching again.
Timed out.
And I just keep throwing in the bullpen. I'm like, wow, man, I want to do it already, So finally the third day, I go out there and I throw 2 pitches. I broke the kid's bat, ground ball right back at me, threw it to the first baseman. Umpire goes, that's 2 hours, game over. I threw 2 pitches, and I was like,
Wood bat or aluminum?
Wood bat? No, not aluminum. And I was like, you're kidding me. So I walk in the dugout, and I'm extremely pissed. It was the last game of the tournament, and some of the people from the tournament Prospect Wire, they come walking over the dugout. They're like, hey, you just threw 2 pitches at 93 and 94. I'm like, that's okay, And so they're like, can you throw some more pitches for us in the bullpen? We want to see if we'll make you a Prospect Wire All-American, which isn't a big deal. But I was like, yeah, sure, man. I'm excited to throw.
I'm warm. I'm ready to go.
I've been wanting to throw all week. So I start throwing in the bullpen. It's like 93, 94, 94, 95, 95, 96, 94. And I'm just like, I was a 91, just no mechanics, just throwing it up there. And
this was all Coach Steve giving you the fundamentals of how to bring it.
Finally didn't learn completely how to pitch, but I learned the basics of mechanics. Never really had that foundation. So I started that day. I get on the bus and I have phone calls from because they tweeted it out. Alek Manoah, MLB draft prospect. And I was just like, how am I a prospect? I don't have a scholarship offer. So I start getting phone calls from schools that day, and I get a phone call from Kurt Gardner at Perfect Game, and he's like, hey, we're having the PG National next week down in Florida. We'd love to have you come and be in our showcase. And the PG National is huge. it's invite only for a certain amount of guys. You go, pitcher pitches 2 innings, a hitter will hit all week. They hit batting practice. It's kind of just like a combine kind of thing.
Right.
And I went down there and I threw 2 innings, struck out 4 guys. I'm playing against the best players in the country at this point, and struck out 4 guys. And that was the first time Matlock saw me.
And for those who don't know, Derek Matlock, the Mountaineer assistant coach.
Mm-hmm. So that was the first time Matlock saw me. I got a lot of draft attention after that. Had a bunch of schools, Division I's, calling me after that, and went right back to Atlanta, right back to work. Just played the whole summer and had a bunch of schools. Now I had Cincinnati. They were like, they came in. They're like, hey man, we were the first school, this and that. We want to make sure you don't pay a penny for school. So finally got my first offer, and I was just like, all right, man, I really appreciate it, but I'm playing baseball right now. Can we wait for the fall to take a visit? They kind of like tried to strong arm me a little bit, like, hey, we can't wait that long, this and that. And I was like, well, I don't have the money to go take 20 official visits right now, and I'm playing. I can't go take unofficial visits. I have to wait till the fall so I can take official visits. So they kind of thought I was just throwing them to the side, which I wasn't. So they stopped, calling me, but I wasn't really worried. I knew I wasn't gonna end up there. And Matlock and Steven Trout, Coach Trout, they were 2 of the guys that were on me a lot. Trout loved me as a hitter. Every time he went to a game, I hit a home run. And so they were on me a lot, and I really just loved them, like as a coaching staff, like who they were. Everybody else was like real big time, universities and stuff like that. Mississippi State, Arizona State, Florida. There was just a bunch of schools, Auburn, the Carolinas, and stuff like that. And something stood out about Matlock. And then one day, my last summer ball game, I'm hitting in a game where it's like 8-1, like a consolation game. And I'm on deck, and I see right behind me, Matlock's there. He's like, wait, come on, big boy, come on. And then he was like, hey, go hit me a home run. And I was like, all right, I'll try. So I came up. I remember I hit a ground ball base hit in the hole, and then he stayed again for my next at bat, whatever. And when I came up, he's like, "Come on, big boy, get into one." I was like, "All right." That at bat, I hit a home run. So base hit, home run. Then he stays for after the game, and he's talking to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm here. I'm not focused on nobody else. I want to get you." He's like, "You go look at all those other schools. They're out getting other guys right now. You're my main focus. You're our main focus." And that meant a lot to me, how invested they were in me. So I was like, man, I'm gonna give it a shot, So everybody wondered, why West Virginia? Why are you even taking a visit there? And I always thought, why not?
You felt comfortable with the assistant relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what convinced you to come take a visit.
Right. And so the story is, so my first visit, Mississippi State. First official visit, I go. One of my best friends is a catcher there, Eli Marrero, and he was on my same travel team growing up when we were 8, 9, 10, 11. Used to sleep at his house all the time, and I would pitch, he would catch, he would pitch, I would catch, that kind of thing. We had a good relationship, and
you were boys.
Yeah, we were boys, man. We're best friends. We still are. And I go down there to Mississippi State, and he's my host, on the visit and stuff like that. And something just, it was good, but something, didn't feel right, So at the end, the coach sits me down. He's like, hey, tuition's this paid for. He's like, your living expenses, housing, this is what it is, paid for. He's like, meal plan, this is what it is, paid for. He's like, anything else you think we need to pay for? And I was like, I don't know, is there anything else I'm going to need? And he was like, well, basically everything's paid for. And I was like, well, I really appreciate it. I think he was expecting, let's do it right now. And I was like, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get back with my family and, take my other official visits. He's like, well, listen, man, if I were to offer this to anybody else, they'd probably say yes right on the spot. And he was like, I got, 3 guys coming in next week. He was kind of just business talking, a high school kid. I got 3 guys coming in next week.
Great self-awareness on your part to know that you were getting business talk.
Right. He was like, I got 3 guys coming in next week. If you say yes to this, I don't offer them. If you say no, I'm able to offer them. So I need an answer. I need to know. And I'm like, you're bringing those 3 guys in either way. You know, you don't need my answer. If you really care about me, you'll save my scholarship. So I was like, listen, I got to take my other visits. I can't just commit taking one visit and not knowing. You know, you don't want me committing here with regrets, right? And he was like, no, yeah, you know, for sure. He was like, so who? I know it's between us and Auburn, right? And in my mind, it was between Mississippi State and Auburn. You know, I was a young kid, wanted to play SEC, you know, all the hype and stuff, and but at the same time, I wanted to be somewhere where I was really comfortable. So I had my West Virginia visit. So I had Mississippi State, I had a week off, then I had West Virginia, and then I had Auburn. So it wouldn't have been a month until I give this guy an answer.
Right.
And he was like, any way you can speed it up a little bit? So I was like, yeah, I'm going to move West Virginia up to next week, and then I'll move Auburn up a week also, and then I should know in the next 2 weeks. He was like, all right, awesome. So I called Matlock, and I'm like, hey, man, yeah, I can't come that weekend. Is there any way you can move me up? He's like, hey, man, what's going on? There's no football game that day. And all the recruits are coming in. You know, we had some special plan for all you guys. And I was like, nah, yeah, man, I can't make it that weekend. I didn't want to tell him, you know, like, that's pretty messed up, you know. So I was like, no, man, yeah, I don't need a football game or anything. I'm coming here to play baseball if I do anyway. So, and he was like, all right, man, well, we'll change the flight and all that stuff. So I come up. And in my mind, I was just like, look, I'm doing this out of respect. You know, I really like the coaching staff, you know, everything they've invested in me. So I end up getting here, and look how God works. I get here, and what happened is I get to Charlotte, my connection in Charlotte, and I was supposed to be here Saturday night. And you know how West Virginia can get on a Saturday night.
I've heard you.
Right?
I've heard you.
Yeah.
No, we don't know about that.
Yeah, I've heard.
So I was supposed to be here Saturday night, and then Sunday see the school, all that stuff, practice, and then go back to Miami. So I get to Charlotte Saturday morning-ish, early afternoon, and I lost my seat on the flight. Something happened with the flight that they shortened the seats, and I was one of the ones who lost my seat.
You got bumped.
I got bumped. So I had to spend the night in Charlotte, get up here Sunday. And you know exactly how Morgantown is on a Sunday night.
Bit peaceful, bit quiet. Yeah.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
Nothing going on. So I get here Sunday, go to practice, all that. And Casey Huth was my host. So I go up to the domain. We're just hanging out, you know, and they're like, hey, man, you know, we had everything planned for you yesterday. It sucks that, you know, your flight got canceled and all this stuff. But in my mind, I realized after that God didn't want me to make a decision based off a big party.
Off of Vegas.
Right, right. That's
Yeah.
and he wanted me to make the right decision, you know, with my mind clear and all that stuff. So yeah, so I realized that after. So I called my mom that night, just hanging out at the domain with the guys, just talking this and that. And Casey told me, he's like, listen, man, I'm not the guy who's going to tell you, you know, commit here, this and that. I'm going to tell you, make your own decision. But go look at where this program was. Just do your homework. He's like, go look where this program was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Look what we've done since then, and just trust where we're going to go from here on out. So I did my homework, man. There was no locker room. All the games were played. Home games were played in Charleston, driving 3 hours back and forth to having a beautiful stadium built, to finishing third or fourth in the conference, you know, and I loved it. I called my mom that night, and I go, Mom, this is going to be the hardest decision of my life. And she was like, why? What's going on? And I was like, I just fell in love with this place. I was like, just hanging out with the guys, all this stuff.
And the visit to Coach Mazey's house
Yeah,
is what spun it, right?
I was just about to.
Was that Sunday? Was that do you go to his house on Sunday?
So that was Sunday night after practice, about 7 o'clock.
So you near the interstate entrance. You make that turn up that really. You got to tell me this. You make that turn up that road,
Gravel road.
It's all gravel.
And
it's all dirt and stone. You got to be going.
And
are they gonna hurt me somewhere? Right?
Yeah, are you thinking sweet? Are you thinking where am I? What as you're going up?
And then you get to the top and you go like, what?
I'm thinking the movie Deliverance the whole way.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is exactly what they warned me not to do. Don't get lost in the mountains. And then of course you get up there and you're just like, wow.
Yeah,
This
is wild.
This isn't Miami. This is what West Virginia. You look at the mountains, you look at the view. There's like only 10 houses up there, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I I was just like, wow. And yeah, I had dinner at Maisie's house, and I called my mom that night. I'm like, Mom, I fell in love with this place. Like, Mississippi State, they took me to the steakhouse, and all this stuff. And I was just like, Maisie, they grilled out. It was like it was a barbecue at Maisie's house.
Yeah.
The coaching staff, Whammer and Sierra and all that, and they had a little drawing on their door when I walked in, right in the kitchen. It said "Welcome, Alek," and I was just like, wow, man, in chalk. And I was like, in Whammer's handwriting, and I was like, man, this is awesome, man. And yeah, we just sat and enjoyed some steaks and corn on the cob, and just talked. And Maisie showed me around his house and the view, and yeah, it felt really right. So the following weekend, I go to Auburn, and I was really close with Coach Holliday, the same way I was with Maisie and Matlock, but there were some rumors about the head coach, and then but I really trusted Holliday, and the head coach seemed fine with me. Fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the culture there too. They have great culture there, and I was like, all right, man, this might be the place for me. I was like, I think I'm gonna go to Auburn. Something kept me from committing while I was there. I was like, I'm gonna go home, talk to my family, all this stuff. So I get on the flight back down to Miami. I get off the flight. My mom's like, have you heard the news? And I'm like, no, what's going on? Finally take my phone off airplane mode, and my phone's blowing up. Hey, Auburn was top 5 schools, this and this and that, right? And I was like, oh my God, the whole coaching staff just got fired. And I was just like, I just ate breakfast with all these guys this morning. Like what happened from here to there that they all got fired. And immediately tried calling Coach Holliday. He couldn't talk to me. So finally that night I got a call from Greg Norton, their hitting coach, and he was like, hey man, yeah, listen, Galloway's gone for sure. We're trying to figure out what's going on with Holliday and me and this and that. And in my mind I was like, all right, well, if Holliday gets the head coaching job, then it'll probably still be my spot, but yeah, so now Mississippi State is calling me like crazy because they're like, hey, it was us in Auburn,
So they thought.
So they're like, yeah, so they thought. So they were like, hey, he's coming here now, So I don't answer one phone call for like 3 days they're calling my mom. They have my best friend call. I even blew my best friend off. I was like, I'm not answering. I know what he's trying to get, my high school coach, all this stuff. So my high school coach brings me in. He's like 70-year-old man, and just straight to the nose. He's like, do you really think they care if you say no to them? It's like, they've been to Omaha plenty of times. Just call them up. They just want an answer. In my head, I was like, this is probably a big deal to them, And he just washed that away. And I was like, yeah, you know what? They probably won't care. I'll call them and let them know that even if it's not Auburn, it's not going to be them either, because something didn't feel right. So I called them after an inter squad we had, and I called them, and it was the complete opposite of what he said. The guy was like, man, what went wrong? He's like, we really thought, we saw you in a Bulldog uniform and all this stuff. There was like some awkward silences in there, and it felt like I broke up like with a girlfriend, and she did not want to break up with me, like one of those things.
Yeah.
And it felt terrible. And I had an empty feeling in my stomach, like, did I make the right decision? Like, you never know. So I said a quick prayer, went in my house, went up to shower, and in my bathroom, I grabbed these shorts. They're on the toilet, and I go to take them off. They're my brother's shorts. And I look at them real quick. I'm like, whoa. And I dropped them quick. I'm like, what is going on here? They're West Virginia shorts. If you go anywhere near that region down there, you cannot get West Virginia gear. So I was like, how did these shorts just
end up in your bathroom?
On my bathroom.
Flying WV on the shorts.
Flying WV on the shorts. I have an empty feeling in my stomach. I don't know if I made the right decision. And God says, here's West Virginia right in front of you. And I was just kind of like in shock. So I call my brother. No answer. He was working out. So I call my mom, and she's like, oh my God. I told her everything that had happened leading up to the shorts, and then seeing the shorts, and she was like, Papo, like that's a sign from God. He just put it right in front of you, you felt comfortable there, you loved it there, it felt right, and he's letting don't feel bad about Mississippi State. That's the place for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So my brother got home, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with the shorts? And he was like, what shorts? And he thought that I was like thinking they were my shorts because he knew West Virginia in the mix and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, where'd you get the shorts? He's like, dude, they're my shorts. They're not your shorts. And I was like, no, I know they're your shorts. He's like, so what's your problem? And I was like, explained everything to him. And I was like, how did you get these? He's like, dude, I got them from some guy in the locker room in pro ball. And I was like, you've been home 2 weeks and this is the first time I see these shorts. And he was like, yeah, I haven't even unpacked yet. I got to wash clothes. They were the last shorts left. I just had the shower, took them off, put them on the toilet, and my brother doesn't fold things. He literally takes it off, throws it.
He's a tosser.
Yeah, he's a tosser. So these shorts were folded perfectly for me to see the W thing, and I was just like, every sign was just like, hey, you need to go to West Virginia. So that night I called Matlock, and I was like, hey, man, first thing he said was, hey, what's up, big boy? Your mind's spinning a little bit? And I was like, my mind actually just stopped spinning. He was like, what's up, man? Talk to me. And I was like, Coach, I'm ready, man. I want to be a Mountaineer. And he was like, man, I'm going to the bar right now. And if you know Matlock, so you know he was on his way to the bar right after that phone call. And, yeah, he was like, man, I'm going to call the guys. They're going to be hyped. They're going to be fired up, man, and all this stuff. And I hung up with him, talked to Maisie and Trout literally right after that. And, yeah, so
A career was born.
No regrets ever since. The entire Mississippi State coaching staff is no longer the coaching staff that was recruiting me. And basically everywhere fell apart except where I landed. So I knew no regrets, and now here I am. So no regrets.
Awesome story.
And so, which is an unbelievable story. But for baseball, it's a little bit different because you're getting all this attention. You still have the Major League Draft coming out of high school. So you made, again, a pretty big bet on yourself. Is the story true? You had your folks go in and tell teams, listen, this is either life-changing money or I'm off to college.
No, I sat down. I remember sitting in my kitchen, mom, advisor, all this stuff, and my advisor's like, hey, listen, man, you didn't perform to the best. You know, your senior year, you don't have a good track record as a pitcher. It's not going to be, you know, because going into the year, they were talking, first 3 rounds, top 5 rounds. And I was just like, all right, man, like that's life-changing money. At that point, I'll think about it, but let's just go play baseball for now. Pitching coach in high school, tried to change what I had going with me from the summer. So there was a lot of miscommunication going on there. There was a lot of things that happened for me not to perform well so that I could get to school. That's how I believe. It was all meant for me to come to school. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table with my advisor saying all this. And my mom's like, well, what do you think it'll be? And this and this and that. And I was just like, listen, everybody slow down. I was like, if it's not this, we're going to school. I'm not Eric. I'm not scared to go to school. My brother wasn't necessarily scared to go to school. He just didn't want to go to school. He wasn't a school guy. He was happy to graduate high school and
go play ball
and not have to worry about school again, until he's done playing. So I didn't mind going to school, So I sat there and I said, listen, you try and get us life-changing money, or just know that I'm comfortable going to school. So day one goes by. I see guys get picked. My buddy, Alex Spies, I played with him on the Atlanta Blue Jays. He goes second round, all this stuff. And I was just like, man, I could have gone somewhere around there with him, but, wasn't pitching like a top 3 rounder in that senior year of high school. So I didn't really deserve it, So second day starts, Texas Rangers call. They call my advisor. My advisor calls me. He goes, hey, man, literally first thing I woke up to in the morning, he goes, hey, the Rangers want to know if you'll take 5th round slot. And I was like, 5th round slot? I was like, I knew coming in it would have to be 3rd round money if it was going to be in the 5th round. 2nd or 3rd round money if it was going to be in the 5th round. 5th round slot, I was like, hey, man, you know the answer to that. And he was like, yeah, I already told him. It's got to be a little more north of that. And, so the draft started. Phone never rang. And I called Maisie that night, and he was like, hey, man, what's going on? And I was like, hey, man, I'm coming to school. Don't worry about it. And he was like, really? And what's going on? And I was like, well, the Rangers called, and 5th round slot was, I think, $347,000. That's not That's not life-changing, money. That's
Mm-hmm.
for 5 years. You think about it, that's not.
No.
So I was like, I bet on myself. A lot of kids, a lot of people thought I was crazy. Saying no to the 5th round, and then taking a chance and going to West Virginia. Everybody was like, I remember even Kyle Davis telling me one day, he was like, man, are you crazy? He was like, we don't have that many 5th rounders here, and you just said no to that before coming here. And I was like, hey man, like we'll have a few, don't worry about it. And, a few years later, we got Grove going in the 2nd. I'm going in the top 15 picks. Pudge goes in the 8th round. Snyder and Stroud just got drafted. So, yeah, we've changed the program a little bit. And, yeah, I called Maisie that night, and I was like, that's not what I was looking for. And he was like, they're going to try and overpay you after the 10 rounds tomorrow. Is someone going to call? And I was like, I don't see that happening, and I'm not interested. And if they're going to overpay, then nobody's going to go at another $600,000 to, after the top 10 rounds. So I was just like, I'm going to school. And
Your business acumen, your understanding of business, and your, for lack of a better, I was going to say one word, but I'm not. Your guts. You can figure out the other word I was going to use. Your guts to make these kind of calls at your age. So there, and you're probably 18 years old. Then are really unique because, as you said, most guys chase the shiny squirrel,
Right.
and they want to grab it. What do you think? Why do you think you had such, number one, the guts and understanding to make those kind of calls when the easy choice was, yeah, grab it and go?
Or even before that, the easy choice would have been just to go to Mississippi State when they're pressuring you.
Sure,
Right.
yeah.
So you made a
Right.
series of calls there that,
Right.
that get to that question.
Well, I mean, yeah, my childhood, forced me to grow up a little bit earlier than everybody else. And my mom always trained me and my brother the way she brought us up, to always understand, and always keep our eyes open and just to follow God. That's always the easiest route is I've never had to really make a decision myself. I pray about it. I look at my signs, and knowing that that's God talking to me just makes me feel good about that decision. So I let him handle everything for me, and my job is to just pray and find the signs.
Okay. So spiritually, then, that's mom, strong spiritually. She guided you right from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
as to be a believer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we're kids growing up, we would go to Bible class and our first communion and all that stuff. And obviously, once the travel, we're playing in tournaments and we're pretty good. So championships were on Sunday. So we were always playing in championship games on Sundays. So didn't line up. But once I got older and understood more, and my mom, we prayed every night before dinner and all that stuff before meals. And once I grew older, my understanding got more clear and better. Yeah, so it just grew more. My faith just continued to grow more.
And that, having that then is like this invisible confidence,
Mhm.
right? That you can walk with so that you understand that there's a higher level, that there's a comfort there that you're making these decisions, but it's not like, if you don't have that, I think everything makes it more difficult.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you try and control things yourself, especially at 18 years old with a lot of things going on, you can kind of get a little out of control. But when you just take a breather, breathe, and 2 minutes later you walk in your house and there's a pair of West Virginia
Mhm.
shorts, it makes it so much easier.
Self rule or God rule. You go like, I got God rule. I'm fine. I'm not making the call. I get
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
It makes the decisions a lot easier. And so going into the draft this year, I was like, this is the one time in my life where I literally can't make the decision. Like, I literally can't make the
Right.
decision.
Absolutely.
Like in high school, it was like, I can say no to the draft and go to school. I can say no to Mississippi State and Auburn and go to West Virginia. Like, I had to follow signs to go places. Now it was completely just in God's hands. So 3 weeks ago, I meet with Blue Jays front office, and for about an hour and a half, and left that meeting hoping that this would happen. I met with them. I met with the Braves front office, Rangers at 8. all teams that picked before the Blue Jays. And I was like, I remember leaving, texting my advisor after the Blue Jays meeting, and they were like I met with Braves and then Blue Jays and then Rangers, so they were kind of like in the middle. And I never texted my advisor after any of the meetings. He would kind of just call me later. Oh, yeah, man, the same old, went good, this and that. But I remember texting him after the meeting with the Blue Jays, and I was like, I really think this is a perfect fit for me. And I think they think the same thing. And he was like, I have to agree. I think they think it's a perfect fit as well. And it ends up being, draft day. I actually met with the Rangers that morning. And they came in really hot, and they were the 8th pick. And I was like, I'm not even going to make it to 11. In my mind, I was like, all right, I'm going to the Rangers, this and that. They were really hot on me. So I was like, all right, you don't come in out of nowhere really hot. I mean, they were even
on draft day.
Yeah, on draft day.
Yeah.
They were calling my host parents in the Cape. They were calling my high school principal. They were calling everybody, just trying to get everything on me. They met with me, brought in mental skills guys to meet with me and all this stuff. So I was like, all right, so draft day gets here. We're all at Maisie's house, and around the 5th, 6th pick, I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna. This is where my market starts, from 6 to 11. So I was like, all right, this might be it. So I get a text. I look at it, and Texas is out, and I'm like, they're out. They're about to go pick me. Like, are they gonna go like?
This is from your agent.
Yeah, and he was like, no, they're out. They're going with a bat.
Baseball. There's baseball talk. Arm bat. Yeah,
they're going with a bat, and I was like, don't tell me it's Josh Young. And he goes, it sounds like it. And I go, sweet. And he goes, don't worry. I'm gonna send him the video of Josh Young's at bats against you, and leave that taste in his mouth. And I said, hey man, it's all good. It's all a part of God's plan. He's a great player, So I'm looking at the TV, and there it is, Josh Young. And I was like, all right, I guess that video didn't leave a sour taste in his mouth. So they got Josh Young, and I was like, all right, the Braves at 9 were really hot on me as well. So I get a text again. So I had 2 guys, working for me that night, and I get a text from my other agent, and he goes, the Braves are about to make the same mistake. So now I'm sitting there like, wow. Thought it was the Rangers. Thought for sure it'd be the Braves if it wasn't the Rangers. And I'm just like, all right, now it's not the Braves either. Boom, Shea Langeliers, another guy I played against. And I was like, all right, good for him. So I was just like, all right, I guess it's going to be San Fran, because they were really big on me as well. So I knew it would. All these teams coming in the draft, they were like, if they don't get you, we're going to get you. We're not going to let you get past me.
Yeah, welcome to the world draft.
Right. So of course I don't go 8, and I'm like, all right, I'm going 9. This guy said they're not letting me go past 9, so I don't go 9. The Giants said the same thing, and my dream team growing up has always been the Giants, my favorite team. So my mom looks at me and she's like, so my phone starts ringing, and I answer the phone. What's up, big man? How you doing? And it was my agent, and I was like, I'm doing good, man. What's up? And he was like, we just agreed to money at number 11. It's gonna be slot at number 11. You're gonna be a Blue Jay. And I just remember like holding the tears, holding all the emotions.
Because you're surrounded by a bunch of people, right? So everybody's staring at you right now, like, what's going on? This is the call.
Everybody's staring. There's a camera in my face. I was just like, all right, no emotions yet because they're still the Giants pick. So I'm going to leave these people to not know what's going on. So I hang up the phone. I kind of just put the phone down, and I sit there, kind of like a jerk, and everybody's like, dude, what's going on? So my brother finally broke the ice. He's like, yo, is it the Giants? And I literally looked at him and I was like, hey man, just watch the TV. And
so you baited him to think it was the Giants.
Yeah, I was like, hey man, just watch the TV. So everybody around was like, oh man, So you see the thing pop up on the screen. The pick is in for the Giants, and I'm sitting there like, don't even make any emotions yet, because if I start laughing, they're gonna think that it's not it, or they might think it is. I don't know. So I was just like, no emotions. So everybody stands up, like all the teammates and stuff around me, and like phones are out. Hunter Bishop, and they're all just like, oh. everybody just like, So I still sit there quiet.
Now, real quick, because you're lucky here that the Major League Baseball draft goes a lot quicker.
Right.
Right? NFL, you're sitting around for 15 minutes. So you got a couple
at least.
minutes here.
Right.
Right. You got some dead time before the next pick.
Right. So I'm sitting I'm sitting there, and me and my brother are really close, and he goes, dude, can you just whisper? Like, come on, man, tell me something. So I just whispered in his ear the amount of money it was going to be. I just whispered that in his ear, and he goes, all right. So first thing he does, he takes his phone off a video, and he goes online to the MLB slot values. Right, so he outsmarted me. Yeah. So he goes to the MLB slot values, and he looks, and obviously you look at 11, the Blue Jays, it was the number that I told him. And he goes, takes out the recorder and goes, I know who it is. And I was just like, all right, man, like, don't say nothing. So
Are you walking around the room at this point?
No,
or are you on the couch?
No, I'm on the couch.
Okay.
We're all relaxed, and I'm relaxed at least. And then I see the pick is in, and then in my mind, I started playing that sound that you play in your head since you were 5 years old with the whatever pick, Alek Manoah, and that just started playing in my mind. And I kind of just had to rub my eyes a little bit because I didn't want to give nothing away too early. But once I went like that, Maisie told me, he's like, I knew it was it. And right when I went like that and I looked up, with the 11th pick of the draft, West Virginia right-handed pitcher Alek Manoah, and everybody just goosebumps, man. Everybody just went crazy. My mom hugged me. My brother, probably one of the best moments of my life being there with those two, and just everything we've been through, all the hard work, all the adversity, all the success, everything. It all paid out right there in that moment, and that's where I tell you, man, like I didn't have to make the decision, but I knew what my right fit would be. And it ends up being their general manager is from Miami. So after they picked me, they let it settle down a little bit. About 20 minutes after, they called me. I spoke to the scouting director, spoke to the assistant GM, and then the GM came on. He's like, hey, man, it's actually pretty ironic. I'm from Miami, so I know we have, some similarities growing up down there, in our childhood and this and that. And I told him, man, I was like, hey, man, I appreciate us Miami boys. We got to stick together. And, yeah, man, I didn't even know that going in. So, yeah, those are all just reassurances that, my path isn't guided by me. It's guided by God. And something got into those draft rooms that said, you're not taking Manoah at 8. You're not taking him at 9. You're not taking him at 10. He's getting to 11 to where you're supposed to be. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm extremely excited.
Man, that is a chunk there, man. That is absolutely storybook stuff. So much stuff we can get into here. One question, we'll get into your career, but before that, when you had that meeting with the Blue Jays organization and you contacted your agent, you said, I feel good, I think they feel good too. What was it that made you feel that was the right fit?
Everything we talked about, we saw eye to eye with. And there's a lot of organizations that, I'm a very question guy. I could get annoying sometimes because if you tell me to do 15 jumping jacks and I'll win a world record, I'll do it. I just want to know why I have to do this to win that. How do I do it?
You're inquisitive.
Right. I'm a student, man, of everything. I just want to learn. I want to know everything. So I was asking a lot of questions, and all their answers just lined up to what I wanted to hear. And this is the first time me meeting with, the front office, and obviously they're the ones making the pick, so they don't have to please me. I have to please them. So I don't even think they knew that everything they were telling me was what I wanted to hear. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, there's a lot of organizations that they have a blueprint, and when you come in, it doesn't matter what you've done to get here, you're a part of this blueprint now. This is how it's going to happen. The Blue Jays aren't like that. They bring you in, they evaluate you, they talk with you. They understand what has worked for you to get you here. Obviously, something has worked, to get you in the first round and things like that. So they want me to keep that, along with adding some of the professional stuff to it, and obviously the experience of the coaches they have, with the strength coaches they have, with the psychologists and stuff they have with everything that's just going to come to me, with being a professional baseball player. So that was one of the things they told me. They're like, hey, man, we work hard on adjusting to players. We're not going to make a player adjust to us. We want to adjust to a player. So these next coming weeks, they told me that, like, if we draft you, you're going to go through a lot of things to where we want to learn what works for you, and then we'll start a plan from there, So that, for me, that was extremely important, because you look at a lot of teams and the easiest thing to do is say, hey, this is our organization. We drafted you. This is how you're going to do it. The hardest thing to do is to adjust to thousands of players within an organization, and to have a different plan for somebody who likes to back squat and somebody who likes to front squat. Sometimes it's just, hey, this is what we're going to do. Somebody who doesn't like to lunge, somebody who does, somebody who likes to long toss a day after, somebody who likes to long toss 2 days after. Sometimes there's just a set plan, and there's a bunch of stuff that they just proved to me, that they're a real top of the line organization, classy organization, because they put all their energy into player development.
They're player centric.
Yeah. Their organization is centered around, their players, not this is what you're going to do. No, it's so when I left that meeting, I was like, listen, this is the place for me, because I'm still going to be my style of guy, my style of player, what helped me get here. Obviously, 3.5 years ago, I didn't have a foundation, kind of learned it a little bit. Then that senior year, I had a high school coach change me. I had to fight how not to change, what to. So I've had 3 different pitching coaches while I've been at West Virginia. I had pitching coaches in the summer in the Cape. So I have a bunch of knowledge that I've kind of just, like I told you, I ask a lot of questions. So I put everything together, and I have a really good plan and foundation that works for me. So basically, when I get to the Blue Jays, it'll be taking all that along with everything they're throwing at me and putting one big plan together, instead of throwing everything that I've been through out of the window and just starting all over,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was something that, and everything we just talked about, we were seeing eye to eye. So I thought it was a perfect fit for me.
Go back to your West Virginia career, and let's take a big picture view of this. So obviously you came here with a lot of ability, a lot of hype in a way.
Right.
But you weren't the same pitcher then, even though you were all freshmen, Big 12. You weren't the same pitcher then that you became this year. What changed from then to now to turn you in? I mean, you didn't just have a great season. You had an elite season, dominating season. What was different? How did it get to that point?
So I think it was just continuing to learn who I want to be. As a 19-year-old kid, you're still learning who you want to be, not only a baseball player, the kind of student you want to be, the kind of person you want to be, the kind of son you want to be, just the kind of brother you want to be, just who you want to be as a person. So I've been able to take some of that and learn that who I want to be as a man, and who I want to be as a pitcher. And I would say coming in, there was a lot of expectations. Top 50 recruit, first one in school history, highest recruit ever, and all this stuff. And coming in, I remember, had an ankle injury, sprained my ankle that fall, didn't throw a baseball. Hit a little bit before the injury, but never got a chance to throw in the fall, nothing like that. Came in the spring. They set me up as a closer. And I remember myself pitching, winning 8-0 at Nicholls State, winning 18-5 at Tulane. Losing 18-5 at Tulane. Just pitching in games that don't mean anything. That's who I was. And in my mind, I was like, I'm the biggest recruit. I'm not living up to expectations, this and this and that. And I remember like, man, this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be that guy that pitches up 8-0 against Nicholls State, So I call my mom and I'm like, man, this is BS, I'm not this guy, this and that. And she goes, yeah, so make sure you're not that guy. She was like, you're that guy right now. And that's not who you want to be, but you haven't earned anything besides that. So
you think you were wrong mentally in your approach?
Mm-hmm. I was completely wrong mentally in my approach. I was entitled to
Okay.
what? To what?
Okay.
What was I entitled to? I hadn't thrown all fall, barely threw in the spring. Just because I'm a big recruit, I'm supposed to come in and be in the weekend rotation. That's not how this works. So
But so you recognize that, or did someone have to sit you
No,
down?
it was my mom. My mom kind of humbled me a little bit. And I was like, hey, you know what? You're right. I'm not that guy who's ever complained about playing. I've always just shown up to the field, gotten better, rooted on my teammates. When I got my shot, I was ready. So there goes, a week where we go to Oklahoma State. Connor Dotson gets, what happens to Connor Dotson? Kate Stroud has to pitch, who was our midweek guy at the time. It ends up being I didn't pitch that whole weekend in Oklahoma State. Now we got 2 midweek games. Isaiah Kearns goes and throws against Marshall. He only went 4 innings. We had to use some of the again. I don't throw. I'm the only fresh arm the past 4 games who hasn't thrown going into that Wednesday game. And I was like, hey, you know what? This is probably my shot right here. So I caught Maisie after that Marshall game in the locker room, and I said, hey, yeah, I want the ball tomorrow, man. I was like, I know you're probably not thinking about me being a starter, and I know I've only thrown max 20 pitches at a time, but I want a shot. And he was like, you know who we're playing, right? And I was like, Morehead State. And he was like, the best hitting team in the country. And I said, okay, it'll be fun. And he goes, yeah, I'll let you know, because it's a big game for us. We can't lose midweeks,
Right.
So I think he knew, my competitiveness, to be able to come up to him, and he knew the fight that I had on the mound, and he was like, hey, you know what? It's not like he's not going to give us his best shot. So I get a text from Matlock that night. Hey, you got the ball, big man. You want it? You got it. So I text my mom, like, Mom, I'm making my first start tomorrow. She's like, there you go. There's your opportunity. She was like, no more complaining about anything. Now you got your opportunity to go do something about it. If you don't do something about it, you're just proving to yourself there's nothing to complain about. And I was just like, all right, let's go. So I went out there, made SportsCenter, held down the best offense to no runs. And I think it was 3 1/3 or 4 1/3. Threw the max amount of pitches I had thrown. I think I threw 60 pitches. I hadn't thrown more than 20 in about a year.
What did that feel like when you're finally on that mound? You're the starter. That's the number 1 hitting team in the country. And you're like, here we go, boys. What's your mindset in a game?
My mindset was kind of like
seek and destroy?
No. I was actually, my freshman year, I was like the complete opposite. I was like, you've worked really hard. I was kind of just like, never been the quiet guy, but I was kind of just the guy that I had to prove that I belonged, So before I could, I've always talked about, us winning, championships and this and this and that. I've spoken a lot of things into existence. You talk to Jackson Kramer, stuff like that. They used to think I was crazy. And I remember after we beat TCU that year, Kramer came up to me in the locker room. First time he ever beat TCU in his career. And he goes, man, you said this in the fall. You said this we were going to beat TCU. I've just always had that utmost confidence in the program. The culture's changed here, A lot of guys were kind of used to just being average. And I've never been average in my life. And I was just like, I'm not going to get used to being average. I don't want to be average. So me with the incoming freshman class we kind of changed things. And my mindset was kind of just, just go do your thing, get better every week. And it took 8 starts, I think, to finally get my first win. I was like 0-1 or 0-0 for 8 starts, and finally got my first win against Gardner Webb. And yeah, it was just a point where I was like 8-0 Nico State, 18-5 Tulane, not even pitching against Oklahoma State on the weekend, and then getting a start, and then doing good against that offense, and then Maisie going, hey, here's the ball against Maryland next week. And I was like, all right, top 25 best offense to top 25 matchup. Go out there and throw 7 innings. So I went from max 20 pitches to 60 pitches out of nowhere, and now I go to 104 pitches against Maryland in 7 innings with 8 strikeouts, and was just extremely I didn't even feel tired. I was like, I felt good. To 4 days later, pitching against TCU on Sunday. So I went from my arm not conditioned at all to do any of this, by the way. Just boom, boom, boom. And then TCU on Sunday and ended up beating. I didn't get the win. I hit a wall, obviously. 104 pitches, then throwing another 60 against TCU 4 days later. But it gave us a shot, And I think, that kind of that experience kind of helped me. But I wasn't a pitcher back then. I was still kind of just a thrower, just hard fastball, terrible curveball, but just threw it to keep you, off your feet a little bit. And yeah, just threw mostly fastballs. And next year coming in, it was kind of like the same thing, big expectations for me. All right, the big time recruit showed up last year, but I didn't really I had a 3 RA. It was kind of a good year, off all Big 12 freshman team and stuff like that, but it was kind of good for a freshman, So in my mind, I was like, didn't get chosen all Big 12 or anything, which nobody saw me even on the radar for that. But in my mind, I was like, I could be that guy. I know I could be that guy. And kind of just put too much pressure on myself, and I was focused on results more than I was. I would go in the games thinking, all right, Western Kentucky, I'm going to throw 8 innings and strike out 15. But forgetting that I had to go and throw the first pitch of the game to begin with.
Absolutely.
You're thinking
process. You were not doing the process.
Right. I'm not doing I'm just thinking about the results. So
when did you recognize that? Because you obviously weren't recognizing it right in the moment. When did that come in that you're like, hey, I'm not approaching this right?
Right. So it was kind of just like every week I got worse and worse because I was thinking like, oh my God, I didn't do good. Oh, I got to do good now. I got to do good now. And then I still had that 15 strikeout mindset. I was just still thinking ahead and not thinking process. So I get sent to the bullpen. I had one of those phone calls with my mom again. I was like, man, this is BS, man. Like, I just got sent to the bullpen. They're starting somebody who's thrown 3 innings all year, like all this stuff. I was like, man, like, I don't understand. She's like, do you deserve to be a starter? She was like,
I like your mom.
The mom keeps it real.
She doesn't.
She's like, you're 1-5.
She probably, if she hit you with the ERA too, that'd probably like.
She's like, you're 1-5. And I don't think she knew the ERA, but she was like, you're 1-5. Just, you belong in the bullpen right now. I think Maisie knows what he's doing. You need to get better, son. You're 1-5. Just kept saying that, and I was like, damn, I didn't even know I was 1-5. I'm 1-5. It's not good. It's like, that's not good. So, so I went to the bullpen, and I was like, all right, this is my time right here. Let's turn this thing around. So I was like, just get better every day. At this point, we were kind of in a point where we were out of a regional,
Right.
So I was just focused on trying to get better for the Cape a little bit. So I was like, hey, fastball, let's try and develop the curveball a little bit, this and that, and thank you. And just when I was like, just get better every time. So next thing you know, I'm throwing against Texas in the bottom of the 9th, with no outs, bases loaded. Get out of that, throwing in big games, throwing 4 1/3 in the conference tournament, shutout innings against TCU, certain things like that. So I learned that just focusing on getting better one at a time, that's when you go back and you look and you're like, wow, I had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. You don't go into it like, I need 8 strikes. Like, no, nobody can't do that. Nobody steps up to the plate and say, I'm hitting 3 home runs today. You might think it, but you're not needing it or anything like that. You still have to see pitches, hit pitches. So in my mind, it was just like 1 pitch at a time. My mindset just changed. 1 pitch at a time. Just get better. Just try and get better. And since I got to the bullpen, I slowly got better at the end of that year. And going into the Cape, I was like, all right, man, well, I got some good confidence go right now. Kind of need to develop a slider a little bit. Started developing that slider. Started pitching better. Got more confidence, and I just kept that mindset. All right, this is how it's working out for me because I'm thinking 1 at a time. I'm not thinking all this. So basically, being terrible, that sophomore year and, whatever, average my freshman year, that mindset didn't work for me. So putting that to what did work for me and the mindset that did work for me kind of helped me just put the talent with the mindset, with, changing my body, learning how to pitch more, and just putting it all together is, I think, why I had a huge year this year.
Yeah. As soon as you get drafted, I don't know if they were still screaming and yelling and hugging you, but it didn't take long, and John Smoltz is on camera, and they start talking about you, which is probably kind of weird when you hear yourself being talked about by
a Hall of Famer,
John Smoltz, and they immediately going, is he a starter or is he a back end guy? Is he a starter or is he a back end guy? When you had conversation with the Blue Jays, is that talked about as to what they see you as yet, or is it let's wait and see how she rolls?
Starter. When we talked, they believe my changeup's a plus pitch. The guys at Baseball America don't watch me pitch as much as these scouts do, so they don't know. They just sit on the outside and type up the easy thing. Fastball, slider, not a good changeup. That's easy to say. But when you really look at every game, if I'm blowing fastballs by guys, a changeup is speeding the bat up. So I'm doing them a favor. But as I got more confidence in it, threw it more of the depth of the change of the speeds, that's where I started to kick off, all year, And I struck out Gabe Holt with 2 changeups in the first at bat of that Texas Tech game. 2 changeups straight off the bat. Here's fastball, changeup, strikeout.
What a night that was, man.
Yeah. So they believed in the changeup. They know it's going to be a good pitch in pro ball. They know it's already a good pitch. I just need to throw it more. And once you get to advanced hitters and stuff like that, that's where that will come into play. So I still have another jump to take. I have multiple jumps to take, but that'll probably be the first one.
Questioning your balance. They were questioning your balance.
They don't see me in the weight room. It's easy to question balance. It's the easy thing to say. You're a big guy. Sometimes you got to duck through doors and things like that. And it's easy to say he's big, he can't balance. But when I go and I watch my tape, my fastball, slider, and changeup come out so consistently. Every arm angle is the same. The body is in the same position every time. Everything is just consistent. So I'm not worried about them talking about the balance. And I'm sure John Smoltz has never seen me pitch except for the reports that he got.
Yeah. And listen to you talk now. You're a pitcher, not a thrower.
Yeah.
And you got it down. You're talking arm angles. You're talking about foot. You're talking about the whole deal.
Yeah. Everything. Like I told you, I'm a student. So I finally put that with that mindset that I've, developed into, and it's transformed. And yeah, one of the things that we talked about with the Blue Jays, they were like, man, your 108th pitch against Texas Tech was a 97-mile-an-hour bullet. I don't know many people in the big leagues that are doing that right now. That endurance, I'm not going to waste that in the bullpen. And obviously you don't take somebody with the 11th overall pick thinking that they're just going to throw one inning a game. So they believe in me as a starter. I believe in myself as a starter as well. And I believe in the fastball, 2 different fastballs, the changeup and the slider. And they do too. And I think that's why, I was their pick, And that day I met with them, they were like, man, you're going to be a front of the rotation guy. Just with your endurance, your durability as a big guy, and being able to have those pitches, it's not just a 1-2 combo. So.
Sounds like you got it all in order here, man. I mean, you think about this is just the entirety of this conversation. You have matured mentally.
Mm-hmm.
You have matured physically. Spiritual stuff has always been strong. It's all part of the package. You got all the elements now. Right. And now you're going to get the highest level of coaching because it's 24/7. You're part of the organization, and that never goes away. Now you got more people than than you can imagine that are going to have some factor in making sure that you're at your very best.
Yeah, right? I can't wait. I know there's still some jumps to make and a lot of improvements. And I know when I came into college, the transformation that I've made in 3 years. I'm just excited to see the transformation from my first outing in pro ball to 3 years or whatever. Whenever I make it to the big leagues, I'll be another totally different,
Yeah. It'll be the next version, like V1, V2, V3. Right. Manoah V4.
Maisie calls it the evolution.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So.
And so obviously they take you at that slot. The projection is you're a major league guy. But there, as you mentioned, there's some steps to get there before you get to that point. But it looks like the Blue Jays are a pretty good organization. They obviously need arms, which is why they're taking a pitcher that high. You've got some spots to move. what happens next? Because baseball's really odd in that you just finished this long season, you threw a bunch of pitches, yet you're going to, by the time this airs, you're going to be assigned already to a team, and you roll right into another season. What's kind of the plan in the short term before you even get to the long term of the steps to the bigs?
Well, first 2 days they were like, hey, enjoy the moment. we'll talk. We'll be in talk. So finally, this morning, I got my flight to Dunedin, Florida, and that's their spring training complex, and gonna go down there and do my physical and sign my contract Monday morning, and then do mini camp with all the guys that get drafted. There's like a short mini camp that we go through, and then they'll decide, hey, we might send you to high or low A or in either Auburn, New York, or Michigan are the two places that I've kind of heard a little bit. Or they just want to keep me there in Dunedin working out and stuff like that and shut me down. I don't know completely. They've kind of just let me enjoy the moment. They're just trying to get me down there first. And then, once that minor league season ends, August or September, they're excited to get me up to Toronto. So I'm extremely excited for that.
So that's where you'll be in the off season. You'll be in Toronto working out there.
No, they want to get me up there for a presser and watch a major league game and just.
You ever been in that city?
I don't have a passport.
Yeah, no, we could sneak in.
Yeah,
wonderful city, dude.
I've never been.
Wonderful city.
It's I know they got Drake and I know they got Drake. They got Kawhi. Marcus Stroman's a beast. Vlad Jr. is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that far from here. You could leave Morgantown and in 7 hours straight up the road, you're in Toronto. It's not that. It's not. I mean, it's another country, but it's not that far away at all.
Not
straight up the road.
I think it might be less than 7 hours.
Yeah, I mean, you could take 4.5 to Buffalo. 4 to Buffalo, another 2, 6.5. Yeah, 6-ish. 6-ish.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man. And
so good. Hurry up and get to the big so we can drive up and watch you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Just everywhere is close. It's just worked out perfect for me because I'll be in Florida for spring training.
Yeah.
My mom will probably be at every spring training
game
that she can be at, which is great. I don't have to be in Arizona, cross country.
Yeah.
In the desert, so I can be close to home, with my family and being, the East Coast, which is what I'm used to, and everything, every step of the way until Toronto is, East Coast. So, just extremely excited, man.
Two last things for you here, and we really do appreciate your time. So now that it's over as far as the WVU thing player-wise goes, and the once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer. So what has it meant? What to you is a Mountaineer now from when they first called and you kind of went like, exactly where is it? what does it define a Mountaineer now that you've gone through it?
When they first called, I thought overalls and a beard and a beer in his hand. That's what I thought was a Mountaineer. But a Mountaineer is somebody who loves this state, man. The people around here are blue collar, work extremely hard. There's nobody entitled in this town. Everybody just believes in each other. Everybody sticks together. My family comes in town and they're like, man, we had random people talking to us at the airport. Like, random people are fighting in the airport in Miami. They were just, hey man, how's it going? And I'm just like, yeah, man, that's West Virginia, man. That's how it is around here, and everybody's nice. The culture of this state, not just West Virginia University, just this state in general is it's been a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
It's been a completely different element than I grew up in, and I'm extremely thankful for it.
All right, ready for the last topic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you guess what the last topic's gonna be?
Food.
No.
Oh.
No.
Curveball.
I think he's calling me fat.
No pun
No,
intended.
me, no.
No, because we always like to talk about food.
Talk
That
about
wasn't
food.
you. That was us.
Well, I'll go.
It's one of the rare episodes we haven't mixed food into here.
I'll go off the side. So you get one meal. What is it? Your favorite? Like you get to one call. What is it?
A Durango at Los Mariachis.
Okay. What's that got in it?
And if you haven't had one, just go over there. Don't look at the menu. Just say, hey,
Durango.
You
just went Los with your one meal.
You don't understand. We're in there I literally think they built that one across our stadium for us. I literally think
It is brand new.
we've been paying the electricity and the rent for that place the past year since they built it. I promise you, every day after practice we're there.
He goes to Mexican every Friday and called the waiter the wrong name for how many years? 2 years.
2-ish.
And the guy didn't correct him.
2-ish.
He'd go in. What'd you call him all the time?
I called him Mr. David.
Yeah.
It was actually Daniel.
It was Mr. It was Daniel, but he didn't correct me. That's all right.
Yeah,
Daniel,
calling him
David,
the wrong name the whole thing.
So, okay, Durango, I remember that now. I want to talk to you about money.
Mm-hmm.
I think of all the guys we've ever talked to that come in here that you are so well oiled into this aspect of it. But I'm going to give you the dad speech now. Now, you realize how many guys go bankrupt shortly after their playing careers are over because they piss it all away, just being stupid. It sounds like you've got your mom, obviously, number one, and then your guys and our agency. I mean, you do realize, and I don't need to tell you this, you do realize you can set yourself up forever by doing one thing. Don't spend it, right? Yeah. So have you, and I saw your mom was quoted saying he's always handled his money. But are you going to put yourself, are you going to pretend? Are you going to pretend, hey, man, I'm working off of X number of dollars. It's a small, and just take the rest and let that bad boy grow?
I'm not even thinking about the X amount. I don't really need much.
Just a Durango?
Yeah, $10.99. I told my mom. Draft night. We were, after Maisie's house and all that, just hanging out, and I told my mom. I said, no matter how much money we have, we're gonna be the same people, right? And she was like, "It's your money. I hope you don't change." And I go, No. We're gonna be the same people. I told her, I said, I know you got a lot of debt, and I just want to make sure you never struggle another day in your life. I'm gonna take care of every problem you've ever thought of, everything. I told her, I said, listen, when you leave here, just swipe your American Express as much as you want. I'll pay it off in a few months. I just told her, I said, your student loans she's still paying for, everything.
Still paying her student loans.
Yeah, I just want to wipe her clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wipe her clean, and then we can just live the same life, and she doesn't have to wake up and worry about paying this, paying that, paying this, paying that. That's going to be handled.
Awesome.
She can just wake up, go to work, enjoy her coffee, cook her dinner, and it's the same exact life we're going to live, just with no worries. And that's all I honestly look for. That's the first thing I'm doing with that, is I'm sitting down with my mom when the money comes through, and I'm gonna say, all right, who we calling first?
Clean it all up. Yeah.
Let's just clean it all up, and then we'll worry about that from there on out.
I'm in. Yep. That's what I want. That's what I want. It's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Can't thank you enough, man. Did you enjoy this?
I had a blast.
That was a good.
How long we've been here?
I don't even know how long. Let me see.
That was a long one.
Yeah, I think this is the world record. I do think this is the world record. Yeah, it is. 123. Clocked in.
So it was 123.
Yeah, we're running at 123, coming up on 124 right now.
A lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah, we did. That was an awesome
great story.
Listen, we can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
We congratulate you on everything that you've done here for WVU, and now, obviously, as you well know, you will always, Mountaineer Nation will never stop watching you. Mm-hmm. I mean, they will always, wherever you are, they will always make sure that they're watching you, as they say. Once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer.
Always a Mountaineer.
All right, man. Here we go. Alek Manoah, our special guest on episode number 119 of Three Guys Before the Game. Thank you so much for being with us. For the Senator, for Alek, we are out on Three Guys Before the Game. Take care, everybody. See you.